how you get someone's attention in different situations. And so there's 3 different situations we're going to talk about. What we would use to get someone's attention. And this is on the bottom of the first page in Unit 20. It's the letter C. To get someone's attention. Excuse me, Horatio. It's letter C. And so that's what I would say to get Horatio's attention if I wanted to tell him where to turn. Or if Najmira wanted to ask me a question, she might raise her hand or just say, excuse me, I have a question, could you help me? Or a more formal way, besides excuse me, so I'm going to write the informal version on the left in blue, and then the formal version on the right. Pardon me? Has anyone heard that used before?
Yes.
Yes? And what kind of situation?
Like when you talk to somebody and the other people, the other person not hear you well.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's probably the most common time is if you're, like Horatio said, if you're talking to someone and you didn't hear what they were saying, you would say, like, pardon me, could you say that again? You would use it when you're talking to someone and you have trouble hearing them, and that's the most common way. But another way to use pardon me is if you wanted to get someone's attention in a formal setting. And so if you were at an office and you wanted to speak to the secretary, you might say, pardon me, miss, pardon me, ma'am, pardon me, sir, could you help me find this office? This would only work in a formal setting. It's not like excuse me, which Najmira would say to me, but she probably wouldn't say pardon me unless she wanted to be very polite. And so Horatio might use pardon me just because it's more polite. And then the second situation we have is to get past someone. And we have the same examples. It's also pardon me, excuse me, except to get past someone, if Paris was pushing something down a hallway and he needed to get through a group of people, he would say, pardon me, excuse me. Or one of the examples we'll look at is if you were walking your dog, or if you were on a walk through the park and someone was mowing the grass and you didn't want to get the grass all over your shoes, you would say, pardon me, or excuse me, sir, can I get through? And so these are the same, but just a different context that you would use them. There's actually a third way in which you would use these that's not on here, which is probably most common. And so if you were to like sneeze or something, or like you would say excuse me or pardon me, and that's probably the most common way in which these two phrases are used. But the fourth one would be to get this server's attention. And so if you were getting the attention of a waitress or a hostess is a more formal way of saying waitress. And so this wouldn't be at McDonald's or Burger King. If you were at a nice restaurant for like Mother's Day or for Christmas, you would say something like, excuse me, pardon me, can I see a menu? exam in which the one on the left is more informal and on the right is more formal. And so if you were at a very nice restaurant, you might say something like, pardon, to speak in a normal voice, not too loud. So you might say something like, pardon me, could I see a menu? Or, pardon me, could I have the check, please? Sir, ma'am, miss, if you were in a formal restaurant. Are there any examples in which you've heard these used that we didn't talk about? No? Or does anyone have any questions? Does this make sense? I think it's pretty common. I think you've all heard these used in these contexts. Is that true?
Yes, I heard it. I don't know if I can use it.
You don't know if you can use it?
No, say I heard it before, but I don't know if I've been used it.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so maybe we've heard it before, but just so all the contexts in which it was used. Or like some of the things we talked about today, we didn't know which was informal or formal. And so that's those. We're just going to do an exercise where we're going to hand out these cards.